Hi everyone and welcome back, and this is a very special class that I'm dedicating to my mom Sheila, my dad Jack, and to my father-in-law Paul. And they all live in retirement homes right now. They're all in their 80s, kind of mid to upper 80s, and actually in a couple of days my mom is turning 88. So mom, this is your birthday present to you. And so because it's COVID-19, we're not allowed to see them, and they're not allowed to really move a lot outside at all. And so they're getting less physical activity. So I just thought this chair yoga class would be perfect to keep the muscles working and the circulation moving. I also want to dedicate this to all of the people within the retirement homes and nursing homes and hospitals, all the healthcare providers, PSWs, people working in the kitchens that are there to keep our loved ones safe and healthy. All right, so we're going to get through this together. Stay positive and let's keep moving. So you don't need any special equipment for this. Find a comfortable chair. You can have your shoes on and just move in, wear clothing that is just comfortable for you to move in, okay? I have a pillow behind my back because I'm comfortable that way, and my feet can be on the floor that way. You can also do that. So let's just spend the first minute here. You can have your hands on your thighs and we'll just connect with the breath. Okay, so the first thing to do is just take a breath in through the nose and empty it out through the mouth. So these are releasing breaths. Inhale through the nose and release any tension in the neck and the shoulders and the jaw. Take one more breath in through the nose and empty it out. Okay. So let's begin. We're going to begin with some kind of bigger movements to get the muscles moving and the blood flowing, and then we'll get into some smaller movements through the joints. So come forward on your chair. The most important thing is that both your feet are planted firmly on the ground. You can be in bare feet or you can be in your shoes, whatever you feel like is safest for you. Okay, so let's just sit up nice and tall. We are trying to stack our ears over shoulders over hips if you can, rather than being rounded. So you're just going to do your best to sit up as tall as you can. And really simply, we're going to take the right arm and just start to swing it. Just start to swing your arm back and forth, and we're just getting some mobility through the, movement through the shoulders, get a little bit of fluid moving through the area, and then let's switch sides. So if you have any shoulder issues, any pain in the shoulders, maybe your movement's going to be a lot smaller. Maybe you're just kind of dangling your arm and letting it sway there. That's totally fine. Even that little bit of movement through the shoulder is very, very beneficial. So you work within your range of motion, and then let's try to get both arms going. So see how you do with both arms swinging and you're breathing. Just remember, you never want to hold your breath. Let the breath be easy and long and slow. Try to connect the movement with the breath, and then come back and bring your arms down right on your thighs. So with this first arm that we started with, just start to, it's like this swimming action. You just kind of sweep the arm forward and pull it back. Reach forward and pull it back. It's a little bit like a swinging action. And see how you can maybe see how my chest turns a little bit, and that's totally fine. That's actually really good for the rib cage. And let's switch sides. And then you're going to start to swim the opposite arm forward. And again, you do what feels right for you. Always work within your range and just keep moving with the breath. And then release that arm down. And then we're going to do this. It's like you're doing the front crawl. So maybe you used to swim in your own pool or the neighbor's pool, or maybe you were a member at a local community center, or maybe you swam in your lake. So just imagine that. Just imagine yourself doing that swimming action, forward and back, side to side. Again, my chest is moving side to side. We want that action moving through the rib cage, and then release the hands down. Take a breath in and release. Just notice how you feel after that, those very few movements, if you feel any different, any looser in the shoulders. And then you're going to wrap your arms around you like you're giving yourself a big hug. And notice which elbow is on top, because in a minute we'll switch. And so see if you can bring your elbows, just your elbows, to the right. And then back to center, and then over to the left. So you're probably not going to go very far. But see if you can just bring the elbows to one side and then the other. And see how I'm not turning my whole body and I'm not turning my whole head, or I'm not turning my head. It's just the elbows going from side to side. And that way you get a little bit more movement through the kind of between the shoulder blades at the back. And now you can even try turning your head the opposite way that the elbows are going. But if you have a history of being dizzy, keep your head straight forward. Even if you have a history of concussion, anything like that, just keep looking straight forward and then come back and let the arms swing again. Like and you can even roll the shoulders. You can practice this rolling forward, up, back, and down. Really, this is really good to do every single day. Just these simple shoulder rolls up and back and down. I know my mom and dad do these every single day, and then release that down. And let's switch arms. So if you had the right elbow on top, now bring the left elbow on top. And relax your shoulders. You're still sitting tall, elbows to the right and then to the left. And just notice, how does it feel for you? Do you feel like there's any tight spots in there? So we're just trying to loosen up the tissue and the muscles. Maybe you can turn your head the opposite way that the elbows are going, but make sure there's no pain. That's the most important thing. Be really careful with the neck. You never want to force the neck, but it is important you keep this action of turning the head. You get a little rotation through the neck and then back to center. And let's go, just release the arm, shake the arm. So shaking is really, really good for the arms, the wrists, the shoulders, and then do again these little shoulder rolls. So you go back and down and forward and up. So just do that 1 or 2 more times and then release that down. Good, take a breath. All right, now let's start to do this reaching action. So you're going to start reaching with that right arm up. So maybe you're going all the way up right beside your ear, but maybe you're reaching to here, and that's totally fine. You, again, work within your range. So you're doing your best. You're just reaching up right from the side body, right from the waist. You lengthen. See if you can get as much length into the side body as you can. And then you reach the opposite arm up and down. Good. Inhale up. And exhale down. So we're trying to get a little bit more length into this side body here. And so there's all kinds of muscles that weave around the rib cage, and we're trying to get those muscles a little bit more pliable. And then the next time you reach your right arm up, take it across your body over there, like you're reaching something on the shelf, maybe your teacup, and you're pulling it down. And then you reach your left arm over to the other side. You grab the teacup and pull it down. So you're just reaching across the body. When we do this, we're starting to get into different parts of the muscles around the shoulder blades and different tissues in that area. So you're just reaching, and you're not tipping forward. You stay upright, but you're reaching. And just again, always working with the breath. Let's do 1 more on each side. And nothing has to be perfect. Like, just keep moving and breathing. And then start to reach across, like you've got something on the desk over there, like your pencil. You're reaching for your pencil, and then bring it back. So again, changing the angle of the arm again gets into some different areas in the body, in the shoulders. Just reaching. Your feet are still planted. If you need to take a break at any time, you go ahead and do that. You can even press pause on the video, and then you can come back when you feel ready again. And then come back. Last one, just kind of reaching down, just a little bit of, this is not a big movement, just kind of fingertips touching it to the outer part of the knee. Last one here. And then come back, sit tall, take a breath in and out. And release. Okay, we're going to keep moving on here. So for this next one, again, the right arm is going to come up, and see if you can lift the opposite foot off the ground and then bring them both back down. And so now the left arm goes up and the right leg lifts up. So it's opposite and then down. And let's do it again. Right arm up, left leg up, and maybe you can straighten the left knee and then back down. left. So one arm up, the opposite leg comes up, and then straighten if you can. So you decide what's best for you. Either the knee's going to stay bent or the knee's going to straighten. So you decide, and we're just going to start these movements like this. We're going to go back and forth. Keep moving and breathing, moving and breathing. Good. So if you get into the flow of this, you start to feel this, you'll know that this feels a little bit like a marching action. So back and forth, side to side. Cross body movements are really good for the brain. So I'm working one left arm and right leg. So working opposite sides is very, very healthy. If you have knee issues, you're not probably going to want, if it's painful to straighten the leg, you just keep the knee bent. Last one. And then exhale, release that down. Shake it out a little bit and then stomp your feet. Even if you get your shoes on, doesn't matter what you've got on your feet, stomp your feet with lots of nerve endings in the feet. So stomp, stomp, stomp like you're having a huge big yoga temper tantrum, and then release. Okay. So from here, just take another breath in. Sit tall. Make sure the shoulders are looped up and back and down. And then we're going to move into the next part of the sequence. So if you need to take a break between now and the next part, just press pause. But otherwise, we'll move on here and start to lift your right foot off the ground. You're going to straighten your right knee if you can. Point your toes. See, I'm pointing my toes down toward the ground. And then you're going to point your toes up toward your nose or toward the ceiling. And you point down and up. And just go back and forth a few times. So you can feel kind of this pumping action through the calf. And so this helps to bring the fluid back up toward the heart. That's really important for you to do every single day, probably several times a day doing this. Get the fluid moving back up. You don't want the fluid to pool down into the ankles, into the feet. Now point your toe again. Turn your big toe to that way and then go up. And then big toe to the side and down. So all you're trying to do here is draw a circle with your big toe. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, and it may feel a bit kind of glitchy and sticky in some parts. Now see if you can go the opposite way. Yeah, and if you have any kind of old injuries or sprains or strains or breaks in the ankle, then it'll show up here. You know, your range of motion will be a little bit different. And then release that down. So what we just do, we really work that leg muscle as well, holding it up. So if it's better for you to have your hands underneath to hold it up, you go ahead and do that. But you're going to take the left leg up now, point the toes down, and we'll do the same thing. You point your toes towards your nose and then point to the ground, back and forth. If you want to sit back in your chair for this because that feels better for you, you go ahead and do that. So just point and flex and point and flex. I would say do this about 3 times a day, maybe 10 movements like this, and then start to point the toes down, then turn the big toes in, and then up toward the ceiling, and then to the side, and then down again. So you try to make the biggest circle you can with your big toe. These circular, and then go the opposite direction. So all the joints of the body, so right now we're working with the ankle joint, they love circular movements because it helps to bring some hydrating fluid into the joint. So really, really healthy. And then come back and release that. Now you may need to sit forward a little bit more for this one. So, and you can have your hands right beside you. Well, you may need to actually interlace your hands behind your thigh. And then you're going to just kick that right leg forward and back and forth. So take your time. So now we're getting into the knee joint here. You don't have to have your hands underneath. You can just kick it forward and back and forward and back. If this causes pain, then you avoid it. You don't do it. And let's switch to the other side. And what we're working here, not only are we getting some nice movement through the knee joint here, but my muscles are working. We've got muscles, this big muscle in the front of the leg here is contracting, engaging, turning on every time I straighten the leg. Okay, and then come back. Now this is probably where you will want to interlace your hand behind and sit behind the thigh and sit nice and tall. And if you can, you're going to start to make circles with your right knee. See, I'm starting with some small circles. If this doesn't feel right for you, then you don't do it. You just avoid this one. And then maybe you can get the circles a bit bigger. So even though I am circling through my knee, the action is actually felt in my hip. So these are hip circles and switch directions. So now we're starting to get some hydrating fluid into the hip. So important, so important. Because if you're not doing a lot of walking, this is one way you can get some movement through the hips. And then come back to center, release that side, interlace your hands underneath the other leg, lift it up if you can, sitting tall again, and then see if you can do some circles. Remember, you can take a break at any time. This is a lot of movement in a row. You know, this is a lot of work. So you can just break it up in pieces if you like, and then come back and switch direction. Maybe make the circles a little bigger. And maybe, this is harder, but you can try using it even without your hands. So that's a lot more strengthening on this leg and through the trunk, through the abdominal center. And then release that down. Good. So we've worked through the ankles, the knees, the hips. Let's get into the hands here. So I'd like you to take your left hand, find your left hand and bring it to your right forearm, kind of just above the wrist, because we're going to start to work with the wrist. And then just from here, point your fingers down and then over to the side and then up toward the ceiling and then to the side again. So you're going to try to draw circles with, you can pick any finger, with your middle finger or with all your fingers. You just make a circle and you're getting into wrist circles. And then change direction. See how that goes? Kind of, we don't always do this, so this, you may feel some tightness in this area, and then release that, and then go up and down as well. That's a good thing to do, up and down and up and down. Okay, from here, same thing. You're going to take your right hand just above your left wrist, sitting tall, shoulders are relaxed, and let's go down first and then up. Let's do it that way. Point your fingertips down and then up and down and then up and go down, and then turn the fingers in and up. So you're just again drawing a big circle with your wrist. Try not to turn the forearm here. You keep your palm facing down as best you can. And then change direction. Okay, then release that. Now do this kind of action where you squeeze your fist and then flick and squeeze and flick and squeeze, and just this little bit of movement through the fingers. Squeeze, flick, good. And now start to reach the right arm out. See how I have my arm, my shoulders, my wrist and my hand is at the height of the shoulders. But if that's too much for you, you can lower it a little bit. And my palm is turned up toward the ceiling. It's not down. Is turned up. And then from here, just reach your fingertips to the side wall. Relax your shoulder down. You may start to feel a stretch all through the forearm and through the fingers, and spread your fingers really wide here. If this feels like enough of a stretch, you stay here. Maybe you can point your fingertips down. You'll feel a lot more probably in there. I do. This is my dominant hand. My right side is my dominant hand, so it's tighter for me. You see how that feels. So if you work with the computer a lot, you'll probably feel something in here. And sit tall, relax the shoulders, and then release. And do that kind of fist flick, shake the shoulder, shake the wrist, release, and let's come to the other side. So now you're going to reach the left arm out and spin so that the palm turns up. And then, so reach the fingertips to the side wall. Sit tall, shoulders down, and then see if you can point the fingertips down. Down. Yeah, and notice if you have a tighter side. You're breathing. If you start to get numbness and tingling in the fingers, in the forearm, then make the movement smaller. Don't go as far. That could be an impingement. So you don't want to go that far. And then bring it back up, bring it in, and do that flicking, 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 shaking, shaking. And then release. Okay, let's bring the arms straight out in front of you. and turn the palms up. So the elbows are straight, you're sitting tall, shoulders are relaxed, and then bring your fingertips toward your shoulders by bending your elbows. So again, you can link your movement to your breath. You can inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more time. So you're getting some movement through the elbows here. Good. The next time that the fingertips come to the shoulder, keep them there and widen your elbows all the way out to the side, all the way out. So you see how you're nice and broad across the chest here, sitting tall. And then from here, imagine you're drawing circles with your elbows on opposite sides of the room. You can start with small circles and then they can get a little bit bigger. Now we're getting, even though we're using the shoulders here, even though we're using the elbows to make the circles, the actual movement that we're getting into is into the shoulders. So we're doing circular movements through the shoulders now and getting hydrating fluid in that area. You can make the circles a little bit bigger and then come back to center and then see about bringing on the exhale the elbows toward each other. They may touch, they may not. Don't worry about it. You may come to here. And then inhale, widen the elbows away from each other to open the front of the chest. So it's on the exhale, the elbows come toward each other. And on the inhale, and maybe inhale, can you lift your chest and maybe lift your chin a little? And then on the exhale, can you drop your chin as you bring your elbows toward each other? Inhale, open, and then on the exhale, you close. Just a few more breaths here. Last one, open, and then exhale, come back, hands on your thighs, just relax the shoulders, big breath in and out. Last one, working through the neck here. Be very gentle with the neck always. So start to turn. You're sitting tall, shoulders are relaxed. Can you turn and look over your right shoulder? But again, you decide how far your neck can come. You're never forcing it. You just notice where the head lands. Notice where your gaze lands. We tend to lose this movement in the neck if we don't do it very often. It's an important one to keep. And then come back to center and keep your shoulders really relaxed here. And then drop your right ear to your right shoulder without lifting shoulders up. And then bring it back up and left ear to left shoulder. And up, and do that a couple of times. Notice you can even stay there. You can hold it there for a couple of breaths, breathing into the side of the neck, the left side of the neck as your right ear drops to right shoulder. Bring it back up, drop your left ear to your left shoulder, breathe into the right side of the neck. Notice if you have a tighter side, you're still sitting tall with the chest lifted. Try to avoid the head dropping forward and then come all the way back up. Good. Last one here, kind of neck rolls. Sit tall, drop your chin down, and just sweep your chin all the way over to your shoulder. And then just draw your chin toward the ceiling and then toward the other shoulder and down. Repeat that circle. Chin draws along over to the shoulder to the right and then lift it up. You're not dropping your head way back. You're just opening up the front of the throat. And then we're going to switch directions. Chin to the left shoulder. Still keep lifting the chest. And sweep it all the way around. Last circle here. And then if you're getting dizzy, please stop. And then come back. Excellent. So sit back in your chair. Have your feet on the ground if you can. Have your hands on your thighs. Take a long, slow breath in and out. And in and out. Okay, just a last little bit of movement here. Come forward again. So this is the last kind of dynamic movement here. So inhale, can you reach your arms up? Reach up, maybe look up if your neck is okay. And then exhale the arms down. Inhale, this builds energy in the body. This starts to elevate your energy. And then exhale down. Good. And now take your left hand to the side of your chair. Hold it there so you feel steady. And reach your right arm up. And just start to tip to the left. So you're opening up the right side body. Let this shoulder relax. Try not to let the head drop forward. Open. And then come back up and then grip your chair on the other side. So you don't want to fall off. So you want to reach your opposite arm up. Drop this right shoulder. Let it relax as you reach over to the left. But you go just as far as you want to open up the side body. Again, you want to avoid the head dropping forward. Reach, reach, reach. And then all the way back up. Good. And just a final little twisting action. Left hand, find your left hand and take it to your right knee. Sit tall. Have your right hand to hold your chair. And then start to turn to the right. So imagine that old-fashioned barbershop pole where the spiral, that red spiral, used to start at the bottom and curl its way up. So start with the lower back, and then the mid back starts to turn, and then the shoulder starts to turn. And the last thing to turn is your head. And take a breath. And then come back to center. And now take your right hand and take it to the opposite leg. And then take your left hand and hold your chair and sit up nice and tall. And then you start to turn, kind of right around from your navel, you start to turn over to the left. Thinking about the spiral coming from the bottom, slowly rotating open. Left shoulder opens. Last thing to turn is your head. Relax your shoulders. Take a breath in, get lots of length, and then exhale back to center. Okay, last movement here. Start to bang your feet again, tap your feet, stomp your feet, have your arms open like this, kind of like cactus arms or goalpost arms, like it helps to open up the chest. And stomp your feet, get the energy moving, chest is open, energy's moving, you're breathing, 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 breathing. Stamp as hard as you can, make lots of noise, wake everybody up. And then release. Good. Now sit back in your chair. Have your hands on your thighs. You can either have your eyes opened or closed, whatever feels safe for you. And connect with your breath. Long breath in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Inhale. And exhale. Just think of someone in your life right now that you are so grateful for. Someone who has supported you along your path, has loved you, has encouraged you, has supported you. And just bring them into your mind's eye. Let them know that you remember well. Send them your love. Thank you to my mom for always teaching me to listen to my wisdom inside, listen to my gut, she would always say. So that was always a really grounding bit of advice. And thank you to my dad, who always showed kindness to everyone. Kindness. He taught me what kindness and compassion and community and service looked like. So my mom was my ground, my dad was my heart. And thank you to my father-in-law, Paul, who continues to show me his sense of humor, and everyone in the retirement home, his sense of humor keeps everyone laughing. And to my late mother-in-law, who taught me to always look forward and never ruminate about the past. Very positive. So thank you everyone for joining me. It's been such a pleasure. We'll get through this together. Stay positive, keep moving. I love you, Mom and Dad and Paul. Namaste.